It was up until recently that I started realizing that I was not living my life to the fullest. And that quickly became my favorite phrase to use. I want to live my life to the fullest because in reality, that's the life I decided to live a rich life and be present, talk to people without feeling like shrinking or, feeling like I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough. I just want to share ideas with people, be open and be real. Because honestly, I feel like I wasn't living in the moment, conversation-wise. I'd just talk to people, but not really enjoy the conversation or not enjoy the conversation because I feel like it was just a performative. I'll just put on this performative mask and talk to people. And not because I hate the person that I'm talking to, I just don't enjoy conversations, but because of the heavy load of overthinking about if I'm smart or I'm enough or just how I feel, and also I wasn't showing up for myself, but in terms of the dreams that I wanted to achieve. I just knew that even if I wanted to, it would be so hard because I couldn't get myself to do those, to achieve those dreams. So it was just a matter of waking up, doing the things that I have to do, and talk to people, do groceries, but honestly, deep down, I now reflecting back, I know I wasn't there in that moment doing that specific activity or whatever that it is that I was doing. It wasn't only when I'm around people, but also when I'm alone. I would still be hiding because I wasn't ready to confront myself, or more accurately to put it, I didn't know how to address the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts that I had. So the best thing to do for me, I thought, was to numb all these emotions and not confront them, not address them, and just scroll through my phone. That was one of the remedies I used to numb myself and not deal with myself or everything I've been saying throughout the day. Or I'll just do my schoolwork as if nothing is happening. That became my life. It was just a cycle of waking up, doing everything, coming back, and just doing things that I have to do, or just scrolling down. Sometimes if it's too much for me, I'll just be like, don't feel like doing schoolwork today. Let's just give us time. And I didn't know that it was my way of dealing with the load that I was carrying inside. Like most people, I took the obvious route of how to change my life in 90 days. You can type that on Google and you will find a ton of advices. And here are some of the advices that I got. They said you should wake up early, like join the 5 a.m. club. And because I wanted to change so bad, I was like, let's do 4 a.m. And they said, and other advisors said, you are what you eat. So you might as well consider, changing your diet. Let's do greens, smoothies, no sugar. And some will just get to the point. You need to stop scrolling, build new habits. No, in fact, now the fancy word is build systems. Or try out a 50-day Project 50, or start a 21-day challenge because it takes 21 days to build a habit. Build discipline, stack habits, and optimize your life. And that is the formula to change your life or live it up to the fullest and live to your full potential. And to tell the truth, I tried it all. I tried, and I'm one person who doesn't give up too early. So even when I would fail, after failing so many times, I'll be like, because I'll be ahead after failing for 100 times, I'll be like, okay, let's wait for 30 weeks in order to heal, and then would go back And it would be the same thing. I would disappoint myself by going back to my old ways. I don't want to lie, it made me to lose confidence in myself every time. My biggest challenge wasn't laziness or lacking the willpower to do what I want. My biggest challenge was putting my phone down, kind of like a phone addiction. Or to be more accurate, what I was trying to escape through my phone. It felt as if, this thing of doing bad habits and self-sabotaging was a giant now. It's like I've been feeding it enough and there was no morning routine that could overpower it. I know people who still managed life and pushed through, achieved their dreams and achieved their goals with screen time. And I'll always beat myself up that why can't I? But now I'm realizing that for me, scrolling wasn't just for entertainment or something that I do when after studying just for 5 minutes, in my break time. It was a comfort space for me to avoid myself, seeing myself emotionally drowning in my loud mind, my unsettled heart, or just avoid people. And I tried reaching out to people to find out, being professional, to find out what is wrong, or ask my friend maybe if they're going through the same thing. And most of them, when I was telling them, the answers that I got was, you need to start doing something that you like, find something that you love, and then you automatically change because you're gonna fight for that thing, right? Some would say you lack motivation, some would say you don't want this bad enough. But deep down, I knew that I wanted to grow. I know that life is a gift and I only live once. I might as well just, enjoy my life, live my life to the fullest, like this is the time of my life. I might as well just enjoy my life. But wanting was not enough because it didn't matter how many times I wanted to change my life, I would always go back to my old habits. And some people may think that I didn't care, but I did care. I truly cared, but I think I wasn't ready in that time to face myself because I've disappointed myself enough. I had so much shame and guilt, and I couldn't even explain to myself why I'm doing this to myself, let alone to other people. And that's the reason why sometimes when I try to tell people how I felt, most of them did not understand, and I understand that was due to lack of articulation. But I also felt like there wasn't a perfect timing to explain to people how I really felt. It felt like there was no time that was fit enough for me to tell my friends or anyone that this was the problem that I was facing. So for that reason, I would just keep it within myself. On the surface level, it manifested as procrastination, inconsistency, and distraction. But looking back right now, I know that it was more of how my mind was operating. It was instead of thinking about finding solutions or addressing the issue, what I was facing mentally, I would just numb it because I wasn't ready to replay all the conversations that I've been having with people on how I'm living my life. It was just so overwhelming for me to take in. It was just too much for me to look at my life being the way that it is, and I don't even know how it got there. And also my emotions, I was feeling a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of anger that I didn't address. So for that reason, I would just close myself. And also the fact that it felt that I had no control over my life because what I wanted to do, I couldn't do. I couldn't do at all. It was as if there's something behind the scene that is controlling my actions. And now being able to articulate this, because I started articulating it to myself before coming up here, and now being able to do this with you guys and to myself, it's such a great improvement. And from reflecting back, here are the observations that I've made, and I can conclude that here is the reason why changing or setting habits or changing habits never worked for me. I would say that I was trying to fill or satisfy what is internal with external things like habits, like scrolling through my phone, trying. And also, I could say that it was a coping mechanism of unaddressed, unnamed, unhealed pain of my mind and my emotions, and how I'm using my will, like how I'm using my free will to intentionally sabotage myself. So looking back, what I called lack of discipline or laziness was actually the soul issues, that were unaddressed. And no habit stack in the world could fix what the soul hasn't faced. Now, this is my favorite part. This is literally the story of how I started my healing journey, and like just being able to talk about it just made me so happy. So let's go. Then how did I get to be healed, and how did I start with my healing journey? So I'm one person who believes that every problem should have a solution, or at least we should have a name put to a problem. Like we need to understand, like we can get to the root of it. I don't know if this is like a good thinking, but I always want to at least be able to put a name, like be able to talk about it. And I don't want to just. That's the reason why I was always frustrated when I didn't understand what was happening with me, and the reason that and the fact that I didn't even think of trying to understand, or didn't even know where to start. It was just frustrating me. I thought to myself, maybe it's because I've been looking in the wrong places. Maybe the solutions that I need aren't really what the society tells us it is. Maybe there's something that society is missing. Majority of the research that you can find online are talking about how you can change your self, or you can change your life through your behavior and through changing habits, right? And honestly, it's because we are living in a society that has shaped people not to think outside of what it has defined for us. For that reason, I can confidently say that the society has shaped us to believe more on the external, validation, materialistic things than going deeper. If you cannot act yourself out, out of this, then there's probably a problem with you, and you need to be diagnosed and be given some medication. Most cases, it disregard the fact that there is an inner person within each one of us. The reason why I'm saying this is because in most cases, it will talk about behaviors, it talk about external things. I believe that our behavior is an effect of something. I don't believe that your behavior is the root cause of the reason why you're behaving the way that you did. I don't believe that, people, like people who take drugs, I don't believe that, they are, if we were to resolve the issue of addiction with drugs, we then have to start with, man, you just need to stop taking drugs. I'm not saying that at some point we will not have to say that, but I'm saying that that's not the root cause. That's not where we would start to resolve this problem. The society doesn't even give us an opportunity to think beyond the behavior part, or even the mind part, because I believe that the mind, our emotions and our behavior, it's dependent upon something. Maybe the reason why I behave the way that I behave, there is a me inside that does not receive what it needs. And when I say an internal you, I'm not talking about the mind. I'm not talking about your emotion. I'm not talking about your behavior that manifests physically. I'm talking about the you who wants to do good, the you that is eternal. One day, around March, which was last month, I just got I was just so exhausted, and I got out of my room and I went outside, and I, without my phone in that time, I just was alone. And I was just so exhausted, and I wanted to breathe, and I was just looking at the trees. I saw it, and I looked at the sun, and I looked at the vastness of the sky, the birds, and I thought to myself, wow, this is beautiful. Like, it always hit me. Every time when I look at nature, it always hit me. It's never normal for me. Every time, just thinking, so, we're just consumed and distracted that we can't even look up, or we can't even see this beautiful nature that is surrounding us. It's so special. There's something special about it. I started asking myself questions like, so the way nature is so special and it's so beautiful, like, why would I be here? Why would I be alive to experience it? I mean, there's nothing normal about it. You wouldn't think that somebody, kind of made it up and made mountains and all that. You just know that there's something special about it. And I was just asking myself, so I just found myself within this ecosystem or environment where I'm living with special things, special nature. Does this mean that I am special as well? And when I asked that question, it hit me. Like, I was like, am I special? And I couldn't even answer that question if I'm special or not. That's when I realized that, okay, something is wrong. I started asking myself questions like, who am I? Why am I doing here? Like, what is all of this? What is all of this about? And the more I was unable to answer those questions, is the more I realized that there's still a lot of work to be done. I still need to meet this person called Cindy, because I'm curious to know about her and what she really believes in and who she is. And it was as if I'm meeting myself for the first time. It encouraged me to then start making research about who I am, or at least try to find some inspiration of where to start when you want to answer the question of who are you. Somehow, as I was doing my research, I came across things of Rabbi Noah Weinberg. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Like, that book really helped me to think outside of me. It encouraged me to ask questions, and that's what I wanted. Like, I was like, all along I couldn't ask myself, who am I? But now I'm asking myself, and it encouraged me to do even that. But more importantly, it encouraged me not to be ignorant around everything that I'm doing. To explain, to give definitions to the words that I use and why I'm using them, where are they from, what is free will, who are you, and all those things, like, what do you think about God? And I was reading the Bible to get an inspiration of defining my identity and trying to understand who am I. I wasn't just taking what they were saying, but I was fully trying to build up this identity for myself, or at least be able to articulate who I am. So I felt like most of the resources online, they didn't satisfy the definition of what I wanted, which was identity. But I loved how the School of Life explained identity, or rather, it gave me an inspiration. What they said became a reference. I started to remember that it's true, that as man, or as humans, we are made up of three parts. which are the body, the soul, and the spirit. And they were breaking down each subject beautifully. So I loved the whole thing. It made me to think even more. In summary, our bodies and our souls and our spirit are connected, right? So basically they're dependent upon each other. So our body is dependent upon our soul, and our soul are dependent upon our spirit, right? So the spirit is kind of the source, the electricity of the soul, and the soul is kind of not the electricity, but the spirit is the source of everything. It's like it connects to your soul, and your soul then produces what we see, how we behave outwardly, right? So, and it was breaking down what the soul components, which are our mind, our emotions, and our will, right? And I also loved that. I actually didn't know it, but yeah, and it was so interesting for me to know that. So I understood that our spirit is the source of the soul. So if we were to talk about the components of the soul, like I mentioned, how I was overwhelmed, how my mind was always bombarded, and I found ways to numb myself from thinking, and ultimately I was willingly, intentionally self-sabotaging. I understood that the reason why all of that was happening was because there was something that was happening with my spirit. And because it's on a normal day, you don't normally separate these, the soul and the spirit, the soul and the body. Like, I don't remember when last did I talk about the spirit as an entity that needs to be taken care of, and the soul as an entity that needs to be taken there. I mean, I always talk about the body because I always might watch my body every time, but not my soul, not my spirit. So talking about the spirit is a very important component or part in what makes us act the way that we act, or do things that we do, or behave the way that we behave, and think the way that we think. They do that love goodness, that loves truth, that feeds on beauty. When you see nature and it hits you, it doesn't hit you in the mind, it hits you in the spirit. Because it's like as if the spirit remembers that this is originality. Or when you hear somebody sing, and they sing so beautifully, it does something to the body. Like, I mean, obviously because they're all connected, you just think, okay, maybe my emotions, like, oh, I'm crying now. Okay, my mind is just thinking, oh, this is beautiful. And I'm willing to just give this person a million because they can sing. But I feel like, I believe that it hits our spirit, because our spirit feeds on originality, and it feeds on beauty. It feeds on, I'm talking about original beauty and goodness and love and peace and all these spiritual things that you can think about. Respect, whatever. That most of us do not even understand that we need to take care of our spirit more, because it is the source of our soul. It's insane to think that we can even think we can change how we think, how we process emotions, and how we act, which most of the online film are advocating, that it's all about changing how you act, your emotions. Don't show them that you're angry. And I'm not saying to some extent those are not true, but I'm saying that those are just effects. What's in your soul, what about your spirit? If your spirit is so empty, starving, then obviously your source, you've run out of electricity, then your soul will just be messed up. When you ask yourself questions like, why do I do what I do? And you can articulate it and speak the truth of why you feel the way that you feel. It feeds the soul, it feeds the spirit, and not the soul. And because now you're able to know this truth of why you feel the way that you feel, it builds an identity around it. Like, it builds an identity around that, and that's what your mind, like, it sends a signal to your mind that this is you, and you start seeing yourself differently in your mind, and you think of yourself differently, right? And when you say, who are you? And your spirit, it's fed spread the truth that, I am a human who is capable of changing, who is actually created by love, with love, and it's not. And you know that truth, it feeds your spirit, and it signals your mind and your emotions. You feel happy that, okay, I'm loved. You understand I just hope that you understand what I'm saying, and you see the picture of where I'm going. When you feed your spirit with the truth, it gives you an identity. You know that you're loved. That's your identity. I am loved. That's my identity, at least. I know that I'm loved, deeply loved now. Be careful with when you're answering your questions, because you may not be truthful about the answer because you're biased, because you don't want to lose control of what you've known to be true. And when you do that, you're feeding your spirit what is false, and it will give you an identity that is false. And you just signal your mind and your emotion and everything of what is. It will give you a false identity that you have created by feeding yourself not the truth. And so it's important to feed yourself, just search for the truth. Yeah, that's what I can say. Just search for the truth for yourself, about yourself, about life, about everything that you want to know in this life. At the beginning of my journey, and I could just say connecting my body to my soul to my spirit. I know that I need to prioritize getting my spirit. And how does that look like for me? Generally, my deepest questions: purpose, identity, silence, and breathing. When last did you do that? When last did you do that? Just being silent. And silence looks like it can be about breathing. It can be about being by yourself and putting on music in the background, just being still, or you can dance. I think that create a stillness within my spirit. For me, silence can also be when I read the Bible. It calms my soul. It feeds my spirit. Walking in nature. Yesterday, I started this, what I call the Sabbath day, where I just give full day to feeding my spirit. It was the first time doing it. It just makes me so emotional even thinking about it, because it was so beautiful. And not only have I learned a lot, but I was able to think, I was able to dance after a very long time, I was able to journal, I was able to, because weekly I can't do all of them because I'm going to school. Also, one thing that I want to start doing is reminding myself of when I'm having conversation with people. I know that is going to be the hardest one. I want to start pausing and breathing and reminding myself, being present in every conversation. It's going to be uncomfortable because I'm not used to it, but I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to start being present and just talk from my heart and be real. And I want to prioritize internal spiritual care. I want it to be more like when I wake up, I don't want to wake up in the morning with an intention of trying to fix myself, but I want it to be more like I'm going to meet myself, I'm going to learn about myself, and it's gonna be so much fun because I've tasted and I know that it's good to know about yourself and not just wait for somebody to define who you are. Like it really hit hard when you define your own identity and you know who you are. And the behavior part, the setting goal part, I'm not disregarding it. I know it's important to set systems, but I feel like it's even more important when you start from within. Make this clear. Change does not start from behavior, it starts from your spirit. When you give priority to your spirit, it will give you an identity. When you feed your spirit more, you remind yourself of the truth. You know that you are loved. You know that you're special. You know that you're here not by mistake. Those are the truths. that you need to continually feed your spirit. That gives you an identity. That gives you an identity that is not based on what the scientists say, but that is based on truth. You are special. You are not a mistake. You are made with purpose, and everything will work out. And that identity, you will learn more about it as you quieten your spirit, as you quieten your soul. You will have an understanding. You will now remember. You will remember your true self. Because I don't believe that identity is something that we have to chase. I think identity is something that is in us. So the more you become quiet and silent, is the more you think that's power in stillness. Get quiet enough, you will hear what your spirit says about your identity, or what your soul says about your identity. So, and also I want to remind you guys that you are special. You don't have to change yourself in any way. Everything about you is perfect. Well, I'm not talking about the bad habits. I'm talking about the real you. I'm talking to your spirit. Everything about you that you're not trying to change. You are special. And when you try to change what's true about you and you make a counterfeit of something that is not real, you will always find yourself in chaos. So stick to what is true. Don't live with anger. It's very toxic. That's all from me today. Up until we meet again. Bye.